Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with me today for Questions with the Queen. First of all, I'd like to go ahead and give credit to the cameraman, which is my husband, Steve.
What's up?
Also, he will be the one asking questions from the past week that people have sent in. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the questions, shall we?
We got a nice long list this week of questions. Apparently, very popular last week, so they want to get more of your thoughts a little more in depth this week. First question: there was a idea that originally came around during the Attitude Era. They called the Brawl for All. That was the big idea that came in by Vince McMahon. What are your thoughts on his thoughts for Brawl for All?
I can tell you for a fact I've heard about it. I really don't know. So for that question, I want to go ahead and try to actually look into it and get a good take on it, kind of get a feel for what it is before I actually answer that question. But just know that that question at some point will be answered in the future. So look forward to that question. Or look forward to the question to the answer.
Okay. Another question we have, and this is kind of, going ahead and talking about the elephant in the room from this past week. Throughout the entire week, we had a number of WWE releases. What are your thoughts on the releases and anyone that should have maybe gone that didn't, and those maybe some that went that shouldn't have?
I feel like, and I believe I stated it last night in our show on the ring apron with my husband Steve, I feel like those are people who love this business, who love this industry, who love this company, who have put more than enough time in. With that being said, I feel for them that they lost their job because a lot of them, I was behind. I was behind them. For the ones that I wasn't quite behind, I still feel like they're people, so they deserve their job. And in my opinion, I feel like what Vince did for the whole, he made it a 2-night event for WrestleMania and said that all his people were essential workers, and then he has the nerve to go ahead and cut like a majority. It's not just the directors, the writers, the talent, the superstars. He literally went on cut. So I feel bad for those, and hoping that whatever their future may hold, it will bring in good things for them. So to everybody that got released, I'm sorry. I love you. Know that I was behind you.
And with the releases being done, and you mentioned Vince McMahon during that, it brings up another one of our questions, which is, do you start to see what has happened in the last couple of months concerning the response to COVID-19 and everything else, as well as the releases? Do you see this as the start of the fall of Vince McMahon from the company?
He has stated that he's not going to give up his company. Honestly, I can't really give you a direct answer with that. All I can say is I believe that in the next few years, I feel like it should be handed over to someone who's rightfully and deserving, which to me, I've always stated Triple H. Triple H has been the person that has gone from wrestler to COO, so I feel like he would know what's best. Plus, he's running NXT. So in my opinion, I don't think Vince is going to give it up. I think Triple H is going to have to work alongside him until his time comes to where he just kind of walks away from it.
Okay. One follower wanted to ask if you watch the TV show Dark Side of the Ring, and if you do, what's your thoughts on it?
I actually have gotten into it. I haven't gotten into it full blown. I know I am 2 seasons behind, so that means I've got my work cut out for me to look at it. So with that being said, once I have taken a look at the show, for the full 2 seasons, I will give you an answer to that. So right now, I just heard about it this past week. So give me a month or two to get into it, and I will let you know coming up in the future seasons, future episodes.
Okay, a couple of questions concerning this week's NXT episode. We didn't really get a chance to hit on it that much yesterday on the ring apron. But we have one here. First, they wanted to get your idea. It's about a week past. What are your thoughts on the match between Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa?
I like both men. I really do. I'm not sure if this was the end. I'm not sure if this was a truce. I'm not sure exactly what it was, because I know that they've had back and forth battles before, but I know that I liked it. I feel like Candice played kind of a major role to help her husband, obviously because that is her husband. But with that being said, I honestly felt this match was long overdue, and it was deserving. I don't like the way it played out, but if, you're going to be putting Johnny Gargano in a heel role and Candice in a heel role, then I guess it kind of directed a path for that to come up in the future with them too, even if it's not against Champa.
And of course, you had the attack of it does present a follow-up question. The attack on Champa at the end of this week's episode by Karrion Kross. He's now finally making his debut. It looks like it's going to be Champa that he's going to start off with. Any thoughts on that matter?
I feel like, honestly, if you're starting off with Champa, you're kind of starting off big. Because to me, I feel like Champa comes out and he's been a heel with DIY. He's been a face by himself. I feel like if you're going to do that, you've pretty much put a bullseye on him. I hope you can actually, how do I word it? I hope that you could actually fit the challenge of what you've put out for yourself. That's how I meant to put it. But honestly, to me, that's a tall task. So I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to be pulling for Champa only because I am a fan of his. I really don't know much about this Cross person. So, yeah.
And moving to another topic in NXT this week, what did you think about the interaction between Finn Balor and Velveteen Dream and their match coming up next week?
Everybody that knows me knows that I'm a fan of Finn. I love Finn, but don't get me wrong, I also love the Dream. I feel like that interaction was kind of not to be expected, but again, Finn is kind of showing up where he wants to show up. He's putting his nose where he wants to put his nose. He's making it known that he is the best of the best. He started out, with NXT, and just because he left and came back, that doesn't mean he's not deserving of what he's owed. So for me, I feel like that's a good interaction between both superstars.
Okay, so moving into another topic here, one person wants to know what is, in your opinion, the best introduction of any of the three shows between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT?
Oh, I've talked to my husband several times, and I know me and my husband are along the same lines. I believe it's Raw, honestly, because the song is it's very enticing. You want to get up, you want to sing, you want to dance. It just makes you want to get into that show for that night. Obviously, it's Monday, and you're going into a week where you've probably worked all week, not all week. You've worked all day, and you're just kind of feeling it. You're feeling it out. So I feel like Raw with Skillet, legendary. How can you not get into it?
One question in from our audience here. As far as a female wrestler who is retired, who would you like to see come out of retirement as part of an evolution match for women? For the sake of argument, because they've already returned back from retirement, we're going to eliminate Lita and Trish as possible options because it looks like they've already returned and are likely going to return again at some point. So without the two of them being options, who would you like to see come out of retirement?
I would like to, with that being asked, I would like to see I'd like to see Jazz, honestly. I'd like to see Queen Charmel come back. I'd like to see Crystal come back. I feel like they were a women of their time. At the time, they were the women. Oh, let's not get from Melina. I want to see her come back. So, to me, those would be the four that I would love to see come back and represent women for the women's evolution. We have Trish and we have Lita, but to bring them back, for me, that would be like a dream.
Okay. Returning back to a topic from Dark Side of the Ring, of course, one major story they've talked about on the show is Chris Benoit, and a popular but albeit controversial topic. And here's your direct question, yes or no, should Chris Benoit be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I know this is a taboo topic. I know how people feel about Chris Benoit and what he did, but that aside, you have to think about what he did in the ring and what he did for the company and the fact that he was there and the fact that he put on some extremely great matches. I feel like despite the whole situation and everything that happened outside of the ring, I do. And I think it's a shame that you're taking what he did outside the ring and kind of punishing him, even though he is passed on, punishing him for not being in the Hall of Fame. Just like I feel like you're doing what China, you're doing the same thing with China that you're doing with Chris Benoit. So again, to answer the question, yeah, I do feel like he should go in the Hall of Fame, but I might be sitting alone on that.
Another question we've got, with a couple of spots still left to be filled, you'll have to kind of insert the name where you want it, but so far, based on what you've seen so far, who would you pull for to win the women's Money in the Bank ladder match?
All in all, I got to see the qualifying matches this past week. I am pulling for... I would have said Kyrie, but she did not win. So I would have to pull for Nia. I'm a big fan of Nia. I love her. I got to meet her in person. Very sweet. And despite everything, she's coming back off of surgery. I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like she's deserving. She's won a title once. I want to see it happen again. Why not? So.
Okay. As a fan, how have you been able to handle being at home and watching wrestling each week without the ability to attend live shows or attend Raw or SmackDown in your area? How have you been able to continuing your fandom without being able to actually have the chance to attend?
That is very hard with everyone being quarantined, including me, into my house. That is hard because you have to understand, as a fan, you want to go to each and every event that you can go to. And with that being said, between me and my husband and my oldest, and at some point my youngest, we literally, wrestling runs through our veins. We talk about it like we talk about soccer every single day. If it's not one thing, it's the next. But to have my husband and to have my oldest son who get into it with me, like when I say get into it, I mean they get into it hardcore, they get into it emotionally, they get into it physically. If you only see what we did around this house, you would swear we deserve to be in the WWE. But to actually have that interaction with my oldest and my husband, it's a great thing because I get to vibe and I get to tell them what I think and how I feel. And for me as a fan, you need people who are like that. So to my husband and to my son, thank you. You're actually keeping me positive about the whole thing, despite everything that's going on with COVID and the releases of the superstars that we had to let go.
We got time for one more question here, coming from our audience here.
Okay.
If you could choose a person right now, assuming that WrestleMania next year remains in Los Angeles with the Hollywood-type theme, who's headlining the Hall of Fame?
When you mean headlining?
As in, if you could choose your headliner, whether that person is, actually going to retire or not, if you're setting up the Hall of Fame for Los Angeles next year for WrestleMania 37, who's your headliner?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. I would have to say, and as much as I love this person, I love The Miz, I really do. I feel like he's had a long career. I feel like he's done everything he's accomplished to do from the time he got here all the way up till now. He has been one of the top guys where you need me. I can be here, 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 here. What do I need to do? I can put this person over. I can be heel. I can be face. But to answer that question, I feel like it should be The Miz. What better person? He represents Hollywood. He represents LA. If you have not seen him, that is who he is. So honestly, to me, I think it would be The Miz. That would be me.
All right, well, we appreciate everyone who joined in, asked your questions. Make sure you guys take the time to continue bringing in your questions. We're available on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube, all of them on the Ring Apron. Questions for the Queen every Saturday. Kia, get a chance to wrap things up here. I think you've got something for the audience as well to wrap things up.
I actually do. I know how y'all like to send me questions and ask me a bunch of questions, and at this point, I'm kind of turning the tables on you, and I'm going to ask you all a question. It's a Money in the Bank question, since we are at that time of the year. Excuse me a minute. Can anyone tell me who were the 3 women who successfully cashed in winning them a title? There's 3 slots here. Again, there's 3 women. If you can tell me these 3 women, then at some point I will be able to send you something related to each and every woman. But I need all 3 answers, not just 1, not just 2. I need all 3. With that being said, I want to hear your responses. You can either comment in the stories, you can comment in the video, you can send it in the DMs, however you have to do it. But that is my question to you. So I wish the very best of luck for y'all answering it. With that being said, I will see y'all next Saturday for Questions with the Queen, and I will talk to you all later. Mwah. Love you guys. Bye.